once again to your YouTube channel ENCH. Last class, we came to understand that Stephen Hawking contracted with a rare, incurable disease titled amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Then let us see in this episode what does his doctors say, or what did the doctors hope for. Hawking's doctors hoped that his condition would stabilize, but the disease aggravated rapidly. It increased very soon. They soon informed him that he had only about 2 more years to live. First, doctors hoped that his disease or his condition, Stephen's condition, would stabilize. But the disease aggravated, became chronic rapidly. They soon told Stephen, you have only 2 more years to live in this world. Contrary to this prediction, the next paragraph says, 2 years passed. The progression of the disease had slowed down. Stephen says, after 2 years I didn't die. In fact, although there was a cloud hanging over my future, some omens, bad things hanging over Stephen's future, I found to my surprise, Stephen says that, I found surprisingly that I was enjoying life in the present. After 2 years, he is very much happy in the present life more than before 2 years. Total disability and death, though still a not too distant certainty. So he is given a lifespan some more distant, some more time to live. Were postponed. Such misgivings and bad thoughts were postponed, and fixed date for his death was postponed. After 2 years also he is living. Hawking had his reprieve. Some more time is given to him to live in the world. A precarious, a dangerous, and a temporary one. But the living days and hours and months or the time is a precarious, dangerous living, and it is a temporary one, not lasting for a long time. But even then, Stephen thought that the living life is precious. The time he lives is precious. Now let us see another event in his profile. At a New Year's party at St. Albans, the school where he studied, there is a New Year's party. Just before he entered the hospital for test, he wanted to do some periodical test due to the disease. Hawking met Jane Wilde. To Jane Wilde, this disheveled graduate student, a careless, not at all minding about his appearance, and not at all properly combing his hair, not well dressed, a disheveled graduate student seemed terribly intelligent. When Jane Wilde first met Stephen, she thought that he is a terribly intelligent one, and eccentric, going to the extremes for certain things, eccentric personality, and was rather arrogant. Arrogant means not at all having a soft attitude and behavior and talk, very rough and tough personality. But even if he has such negative elements in his personality, she finally judged that Stephen was interesting personality, as well as she liked his wit also. During his college days also, he was very popular among his peers for his wit. Here, Jane also appreciated and liked his witty remarks and intelligent jokes or comments. When Jane met Stephen again after his discharge from the hospital, Stephen was really in a pathetic, very bad condition. Physically and mentally, he was in a bad condition. So at that time, by seeing Stephen in a pathetic state or bad condition, miserable condition, Jane Wilde thought, he lost his will to live. That means Stephen doesn't have any will to live in this world. He was very confused also. He was very confused to do things. She commented. She was not, however, put off by his physical or mental condition, but she did not give up. She continued to take up the case of Stephen Hawking. So there are two negative aspects at that time with Stephen Hawking, that his mental and physical condition were confused, conditions were confused and pathetic. But she did not give up. She tried to take more attention on him. Let us now, we are going to analyze the personality of Jane Wilde. She was rather a shy teenager, very shy, not bold enough, a shy teenager, serious-minded. But even if she was a shy teenager, she was serious-minded. She is not at all having a loose attitude, a serious-minded, with a strong faith in God. She was purely a strong believer in God. Actually, this belief was completely ingrained or fixed in her mind from childhood by the practice of her mother. Her mother was a staunch believer of God, a strong devotee or trustee of God. Such a belief in God was ingrained or imprinted or fixed in the mind of Jane Wilde. And a belief that she is an optimist, good can come out of any adversity. If problems are there, at the end of the problem there will be something good will happen. That is what her opinion about the bad, miserable condition which was stuck to Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking admired her optimism. This optimistic nature of Jane was completely attracted by Stephen Hawking, and their friendship, Hawkins and Jane Wilde's friendship, developed slowly, gradually developed. After a while, after some time, the two began to they understood that, they began to realize, they understood in Jane's words. Jane finally conclusively said that together means together with Jane Wilde and Stephen Hawking, we could make something worthwhile. They could do something worthwhile, something contributing, something very noble. For Stephen, that made all the difference. Of course, it was a turning point in the life of Stephen Hawking, and that decision or that determination taken by Jane Wilde made all the difference in the life of Stephen Hawking. He applied, after that, becoming a positive energy from the approach and attitude and determination or decision of Jane Wilde. Stephen Hawking applied for a research fellowship at Caius, one of the colleges in the Cambridge University, one of the colleges in Cambridge University. So he applied for, with the assistance of Jane Wilde, for a research fellowship at Caius, one of the colleges in the Cambridge University. Now let us see in the year 1965. In 1965, at the age of 23. So look at the age of Stephen Hawking. In the age of 1963, 23 he was. 1965 he was 23 years old. Hawking received his fellowship at Caius. So he received his fellowship at Caius, one of the colleges in Cambridge University. And in July of the same year, Jane and he were married. After that, they married in the July month of the same year, 1965. They were got married. People who remember Hawking in the university in the late 1960s, the condition, they remember him walking, making his way around the corridors of the college with a cane, a walking stick, a cane, supporting himself against the wall and walking. That is the condition. Okay. Supporting himself against the wall. He spoke with what sounded like a slight speech impediment. So at that time also he was feeling a kind of speaking impediments. He cannot properly speak. But what happened there, that is what they are just trying to do it about. But more than that, they remember his brashness in sessions, some kind of eccentric behavior in sessions involving some of the world's most distinguished scientists. So he will be involved in sessions comprised of the world's most popular or distinguished scientists, while other young researchers kept a reverential silence. So this is a memorization of an event that happened in colleges. Hawking daringly asked unexpected and penetrating questions during such sessions comprised of world's most distinguished or popular scientists, while the other young researchers kept a kind of respectful, reverential means respectful silence. Hawking very courageously asked unexpected and penetrating questions. He clearly knew that he was talking about. So Hawking was conscious of what he was talking about. His reputation as a genius, finally he attained a reputation as genius. Another Einstein started emerging then. That is what another thing. Then, in the year 1980, a practical need for funds launched him into a new enterprise that was to have far-reaching impact on the Hawkins and others all over the world. So what is the event that happened in the year 1980? A practical need for funds launched. Money assistance, a project, a practical need for funds, a program was launched him into a new entrepreneur. He was doing something adventurous. That was to have a far-reaching impact. Such an enterprise will give more effects in the society, far-reaching impact, and which also impacted Hawking and others all over the world. All other people who are interested in were much impressed by such entrepreneurship or adventure or enterprise. He thought of writing a book. By the time Stephen Hawking thought of writing a book about the universe. What is the universe? He started writing or thought of writing a book on the or about the universe. About the most interesting questions that he made that had made him want to study cosmology and quantum theory. So when he decided to write a book about the universe, about the most interesting questions that had made him want to study. So when he made some penetrating and confusing questions, which prompted Stephen Hawking to study cosmology, the study of the universe, and the quantum theory related to mathematics. Then he asked several questions which are included in his book. Let us see what are the contradictory questions or penetrating and provoking questions. Where did the universe come from? Is the universe infinite or does it have any boundaries? The first question he asked was, where did the universe or the world come from? Does the universe have, or is the universe infinite, not finite, not finite, it is infinite, or does the universe have boundaries, borderlines, boundaries? Will the universe come to an end? Will it come to an end? Will the universe come to an end? Will the universe have an end? If so, how will the universe come to an end? Is there a complete theory of the universe? So is there a complete, exact, precise theory of universe? That is why the title, Quest for a Theory of Everything. So his next question is there a beginning of time? Is there a beginning of time? Then another question, could time run back? His book begins by rewinding the great theories of the cosmos. Actually, his book mainly concentrates on or recollecting or remembering the great theories of cosmos from scientists like Newton to Einstein. Here, what is the purpose of writing the book? He wrote the book to make science digestible or understandable to non-scientists. That was the purpose of writing this book. He wanted to make science understandable to non-scientists. Now, it is time to wind up the session. Now we will go for concentrating on the important questions and answers of the paragraphs we have come across in this episode. Now it is time to wind up this session. The important question and answers will be following after the video that will be separately sent in another episode. And if you like this class, do not forget to subscribe. Wish you all the best.